Welcome back. Around 4 out of 10 life insurance advisors have been failing their clients, a recent ASIC report has suggested. So how do you make sure your advisor is not failing you? Sam Kitchen is from accounting firm William Buck and is here to help us play the insurance game successfully. Hello, Sam.
I'm very well, thanks for having me.
Now, I hope that's why you're here.
I am indeed, yeah.
I would have thought, being an accounting firm, looking at the insurance issue. So tell us what did the report tell you about advisors and how they're servicing their clients? Well,
essentially, this report was released last week. It revealed that, as you said, 4 out of 10 advisors weren't giving compliant advice. And there was a high correlation with that advice, failing that advice, with upfront commissions.
Okay. So can you give us a classic example of the mistakes that they're making, whether they're doing it, voluntarily or involuntarily? What are the mistakes they're making where clients are effectively losing out? Well,
potentially, Peter, the essence of the advice might be to take out a policy today, and then in a couple of years they might recommend to take out another policy with another insurer, and at that point there could...
Churning.
Well, I don't like to use that word.
No. But I will. I'll use that word. Okay.
You've used it, not me. Yeah.
So there is evidence of some advisors churning. Now, explain to viewers why an advisor who might have actually looked for the best policy, 5 years ago, would all of a sudden say, I think we should switch policies. The good reasons and possibly the bad reasons why they would do that.
Well, just like any policy or indeed strategy, things change in your life. You might have a baby, you might have had a divorce, debt levels obviously change at the moment, as you mentioned in the opening gambit, and in essence that could warrant a change in policy.
Yeah, so a good advisor should actually look at your change in circumstances.
Absolutely.
That policy was great when you guys were single and cool and groovy CBD type people.
Absolutely.
But now you're living in the suburbs with kids. This is a better policy for you.
And that's exactly what an advisor should be doing.
Yep.
The problem, I think, highlighted in this report, Peter, was one where there might have been other reasons.
Okay. Tell us the other reasons.
Well, as I said at the beginning, there was a correlation between changing policy and upfront commissions. So when policy is changed, the advisor actually receives up to 120, 130%.
That's a very big incentive, isn't it, to say it's time for a change?
It is. It is. You're absolutely right. And the implications for Aussies is they may not be getting the right advice.
Okay. Is there any signs that the insurance industry is saying, right, we know there's problems out there, and even if we say 70% of advisors are really trustworthy, 30% are in fact it was 4 out of 10, wasn't it? 40%.
37%.
37%.
Yeah.
Let's round it up. 40% are a bit of a worry. Is the insurance industry saying, well, let's change the way in which we reward advisors?
They are. Without getting too technical, there are other mechanisms for advisors to be compensated. And I know, at least with our profession and our firm, we actually look at that model. It's one where advisors aren't remunerated to put in place a new policy every year. It's a stronger servicing model where remuneration's matched with the ongoing service and ultimately the claims. Yeah.
So, for example, you have clients and clearly you do put them into insurance.
I do.
And because you're an accountant, you wanted to probably do it the most professionally honest way. I don't want to use the word honest because it implies other people are dishonest, but in the most transparent way. That's the word I'm searching for.
I think you're absolutely right. And as an accountant, we're guided by that professional ethos. Accountants are that trusted advisor. And as such, we take that very seriously. And that's the culture we work with. It's one where the client comes first. And perhaps the industry, as a legacy, has had a culture where sales comes first.
Okay, most definitely. I wouldn't even dispute that. So I guess the important point then is for people watching this program, what are the questions they should be asking of their advisor to make the judgment? Is my advisor in the 4 out of 10 or the 6 out of 10 group?
Great question, Peter. I would start with, how are you getting paid for this? What is your alignment to this strategy? Are you working for me or do you have other interests?
Pretty provocative question, isn't it?
It is, Peter, and it's one that's not essentially revealing. It's got to be asked, as you said, and I think that's the best way to go forward.
Is it possible for someone to easily find what is the best benchmark policy for example, life insurance? Like, I know when it comes to superannuation, you can go to websites like Super Ratings or Chant West, and you can actually see what are the best performing ones. Is it as easy as that for a life insurance?
I would say take a little bit more time. Consult a professional. It's not as easy as matching that to that. There's a lot of fine print. And ultimately, with a professional, when it comes to the important part of an insurance policy, which is something we're all missing here, and that's the claim, they can assist you with that.
Oh, there's plenty of hard work in being an insurance advisor.
Absolutely.
And of course, you actually can assess someone, and no one will want to insure them. So they can take a lot of work, and you don't get any money for it.
That's right.
I'm totally aware of that. But I guess that's the bottom line: is that you should maybe even go to a couple of advisors to see whether there is a similarity of recommendations around the sort of policies.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Can you actually say to an advisor, look, I know you're going to get 120%. I want you to share it with me.
You could do something like that.
They can say no, or they can say yes.
They can say no, or they can say yes. But look beyond that. Look at the advice being given.
Okay.
That's the key takeaway.
All right, Sam. WilliamBuck.com.au.
Thanks, Peter.
Cheers, mate. Fantastic.
Thanks. Cheers.
Okay.